Well, for the second time in the history of Live to Tell, one of us is remote. First time I was on an
Yeah.
airplane, and now, Cass, you are
At my house.
at your house.
Yeah.
How's the house doing?
It's doing great.
It's time to rock this house on this episode of Live to Tell.
Honestly, watching this video with Nick's was actually amazing. Oh my God. We really, we need to make you like sing the intro so that it's.
I'll come up with lyrics.
That was so funny.
I'm going to come up with lyrics for that.
Good.
What is up this Friday? What are we talking about in the world of biznaz?
In the world of business. All right. So fantastic. This is one of my favorite stories because this is like the epitome of like what's wrong with like influencer culture.
A lot.
There's a ton wrong, but there's this lake in Russia and people keep going to it because it's like super blue or whatever. But the reason that it's blue is because there's like horrible chemicals in it. And it's like people are getting really, really sick by going in it to like do it for the gram or whatever. And people are getting, the reason it's blue is because there's a lot of stuff happening in it. So, I mean,
you know what fascinates me? You know what I think is cool about that? I was on literally less than a week ago, I was on a tour bus in Ireland, because that's what you do when you're a tourist. And they talked about the Great Fire of Dublin. And what happened was like barrels and barrels and barrels of whiskey fell out and it created this big fire. And like 13 people died. Do you know how? Not from the fire. They went and drank the contaminated whiskey and died.
My people, Ireland.
that's an old Instagram.
Oh my God, they weren't even doing it for the gram. They were doing it for the buzz.
Was there Polaroids?
Those are my Polaroids, yeah.
I wish I could see what they were. All right, what's next?
I actually like turned around and looked and was like, are any of these weird?
Drunk Cassie, drunk college Cassie. The celebrity is drunk college Cassie over her right shoulder.
No, she's dead and gone. So anyway, we have Lady GaGa is our celebrity this week. So she's launching this new line with Amazon. It's like a beauty line. But basically the thing that I think makes this interesting is that there was like a social component of it. Like she ended up choosing Amazon because it was like she wanted to make sure that there was inclusivity and like it was basically her, I'm not going to make a deal unless like this is a huge self-acceptance thing. And obviously it's like really trendy for businesses to have like a cause behind them now. So I'm sure that it'll do really well. It's Lady GaGa and it's Amazon. It's two things that sell.
Put gasoline on the fire when the fire is burning. That's exactly what she's doing. Smart business lady.
She's just a badass.
She's a badass.
Cool. All right, cash money. So VW invested $2.6 billion in this self-driving startup, and it's part of a joint venture with Ford. So it's essentially they're just putting money behind this tech that's going to be like the next big thing. I mean, you have a Tesla, and I was impressed like with how good it actually was with self-driving. When I first heard about it, I'm like, I feel like that's fake. Like that's like not going to be a thing that's real. But I don't know, how far off do you think we are from a world where like people really aren't driving like across the board?
I don't think the driving thing seems to be an issue. People die because they don't know how to drive a car. Or they drink alcohol or whatever. So there is some resolution to it, in my opinion, based on what I hear and see and feel in the city that I live in. I think the bigger solve is going to be gasless automobiles that don't have such a negative effect on the environment. So in essence, even though that's really the position that a Tesla came into the marketplace with, this is a more greener car. And secondly, you could also save lives through potentially through the driverless driving. But early on buzz with Tesla, there was some dude who got crushed by a truck. It doesn't solve other mistakes of other drivers. But I appreciate the fact that car companies they're not being blockbuster. They're taking a moment and saying, what do we have to do from an innovation standpoint to make sure that we don't disappear? There are car companies like Saab that went out of business, or Saturn, because probably because they couldn't adapt in the marketplace. So the lesson there for any brand is know that you're never done innovating. True that.
All right, on to the next. Which is forward thinking. So there's this. Sorry, I'm like pulling it up because I don't know what this guy's name is off the top. But basically, there's this guy that's trying to.
If I had $1 every time you had an issue with someone's name.
It wasn't that I had an issue. It's just I actually don't know what it is. Do you want to die? His name is Hank Scott. Really hard to pronounce. Okay.
Oh my God. Get out of here.
So
Hank Scott.
Hank Scott. He created this new middle seat, and it staggers it. So it's basically like it's 2 inches lower than for plain seats that are like on the aisle or by the window, and then it's 2 inches lower, 3 inches back. So it staggers it to give it like more room. I don't know if people are actually going to like adopt that. I'm short, so like middle seats don't bother me. But
okay, good job, Hank Scott. You figure out a way to stagger the seats. Why are we talking about this? Move on. That's a foe.
The foe.
We're over it.
All right, so
foe and now the friend.
We're talking about 20. They're going to start like asking if users are going to volunteer, like instead of just going through someone's history, if they're able to pull medical data, or get source for health information.
What's that? 23andMe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. I think. I was reading an article last night on autoimmune disorders and how that's actually a man-made disease. That was the opinion of this article, that changing climate has actually caused something like that. But the argument could be most cancers are man-made diseases. Thus, the DNA plays a part of it, and the predictive nature of understanding how your DNA should predict your health stuff. But no, I think it's interesting. But I think the bigger discussion that's going to have is pure privacy and how much are people willing to share from a data standpoint. I think the more open data we can be on anything, the better we're going to be as a society.
True, but it is like weird where it's like, okay, so Facebook, whether you like it or not, owns all of your data that you've ever put in on that site, or I guess I don't know. I mean, they have it regardless. And then it's like, okay, now I'm going to give my health data to someone else. It's like, is there going to be nothing that like isn't accessible for the entire world? I guess probably not with where technology is, but that's terrifying and also really beneficial at the same time.
I mean, people can't keep secrets anyway, so you know.
True.
I don't know. I was reading.
You don't know, like your family and lineage or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is, there's probably a lot of similarities in everybody's DNA. That if this helps us find cures to some of the things that are curable, stupidity is not curable. No, but yeah, until people are willing to be more open with all information. If my information on my DNA could help someone else survive X, I don't care. You can know whatever you want about me. Go for it.
Yeah.
What did I write about this week?
I was actually just thinking, I'm like, I haven't like read the full thing yet. I just skimmed because it isn't posting until next week. But it's about hiring.
Well, it actually posted yesterday.
No, this is the one for next week.
Right. It posted yesterday because this is not airing till this is future, Cassie. 15 seconds in. All right. What did I write about?
Hiring dumb people and the advantages that come with it.
Keep talking about this. I like when you talk about it.
No, I haven't like skimmed it enough to know. I'll pull it up and then I can come up with some thoughts.
The point was, I think far too often companies don't look around the room and say, "What do you think?" And I've sat in rooms with CEOs during some sort of business assessment. They're hunting for the answers for how are they going to accomplish X. And the reality is their stakeholders are sitting right there with them, their executives, even the secretary. I think there's this awesome story about Tabasco where they ran some marketing contests to try to come up with the best idea to double Tabasco size or double their sales. And ideas came in and they were all awful from the outside. And then inside they did the same contest, and I think they gave away like a trip around the world or whatever, or a trip anywhere you wanted in the world. And the guy who loaded the boxes onto the trucks said, you want to know how you increase your business, Tabasco? You double the size of the hole. And it was that simple, that you increase the size of the hole, the Tabasco comes out faster, customers have to go buy more. So, but that came from a guy that packed the boxes. So it's not like he's in the innovation meetings and they're sitting around and saying, what's the next big idea? It can come from anywhere in an organization. So my point was, yes, I do have a clickbait title in what I wrote. But the reality is, when you as an organization fail to ask the people around you what the solutions are, you lose an opportunity to have intel of people that are in it every single day. There are so many dollars spent on consulting, of people coming in and saying, come fix my problems. We have a client that just went through a consultancy where they paid a lot of money for them to really find out what they already knew. And yeah, there's some validation that comes alongside that, but the reality is their team knew the answers. My team knows the answers. So if you're not going to leverage the smarts that you're around, then hire dumb people. Find the dumbest human beings possible, hire them, because if you're unwilling to have a collaborative work environment that can get the answers, then don't spend the money, because the reality is the group that you probably have is more expensive than you need to if you're unwilling to listen to their opinions. So hire dumb people if that's the case. But I choose to hire majority smart people. The three of us, Emily, me, and you, one of us is not very smart. I'll let you guys decide who.
We'll duke it out. It's obviously Emily.
Oh, wow. I say it's me. Cassie says it's Emily. And Emily's sitting there and being like, fuck you, Nick. There's F-bomb.
You're so
smart. Cassie said you're dumb. I think you're smart, Emily.
I didn't say that you were. Well, I mean, I said that you were dumb, but not really.
You did.
To save yourself.
She knows I don't mean it.
Cassie, go live to tell.
I will. Bye.
See ya.